I'm going to be covering the sport of paintball. A couple of the things I'm going to cover today are a little bit of history around the sport, how it started, also what to expect at the field, a little bit of safety, and just some of the equipment that is used in the sport. Alright, for the history of paintball, I'm going to take a couple quotes from this article here. Who thought this was a good idea, which was written by Charles Gaines, and he was one of the first few people who played and helped invent the sport of paintball. Paintball started in an attempt to settle an argument between Charles Gaines and Hayes Noel, in that they both felt that they could best the other in survivability through Hayes's history living in the jungle of Upper East Side New York and working in the stock market as a stock trader, and that his survivability traits that he learned there would effectively be applied everywhere. While as Charles Gaines felt that his history growing up in the woods would help him survive much better than Hayes. At the time, Gaines was living in New Hampshire, with a state with no shortage of woods, as taken from the article, and when a fellow sheep raiser sent him a catalog that offered a CO2-powered pistol used by ranchers and farmers to mark bred animals with balls of paint, milieu and means came together like the cue and 8-ball in a perfect side pocket bank. After testing the pistols in a duel, following by which he says it is his journalistic duty to report that only Hayes could testify as to how much it hurts to be hit by a paintball. They enlisted their friend Bob Guernsey, who was then a New Hampshire ski shop owner, and devised what in hindsight can only be called a grandly peculiar method of resolving an argument, which was the first game of paintball. On June 27, 1981, the three men, along with 9 other argument resolvers, among them a doctor, movie producer, investment banker, Alabama turkey hunter, a Vietnam vet, and a New Hampshire forester, slipped into 100 acres of woods near Gaines's house from different points around its perimeter at a prearranged signal. Each of them wore camo and shop goggles and were equipped with a temperamental Nell Spot 007 bolt-action paintball pistol, 20 or so balls of paint, extra CO2 cartridges, a compass, and a map of the 100 acres indicating the location of 4 flag stations and the home base. At each of these flag stations hung 12 flags of a particular color. The point of this game was to be the first man to reach the home base with each of the 4 flags of your color without being marked by the paint from another player. The game was won by the forester, and he was not even seen by anyone else the whole time and didn't even fire a shot. Although that still did not cease to take away the enjoyment that the men felt playing this game, and they were instantly hooked forever, and that was the birth of paintball. Alright, so now that we've covered a bit of the history regarding the start of paintball and how it was originally invented, we're going to go ahead and cover different ways that you can play paintball in your area, what to expect when you get there, and how to find a field in your area.
So now that I've talked a bit about the history behind paintball, I'll talk a little bit about where the sport has advanced to and where it's gone today and some of the different styles that it's played. One of my sources, Paint the Town Orange by Hawaleshka Danilo, talks about the WPL tournament in Canada that took place in Montreal. And in the article, Hawaleshka talks about some of the different ways that this tournament went about and kind of describes what was going on in a tournament setting, which was on an indoor AstroTurf speedball field. One quote from the article is that inside the warehouse-like interior of the sports center, the action takes place on an AstroTurf cover field measuring 50 by 100 feet, almost half the size of a hockey rink. Inflatable obstacles called bunkers offer players a measure of protection. Theater rigging is positioned at each quarter and overhead, and a fine mesh hangs down like a curtain to keep paintballs from flying up into the audience. Only 2 guys in the place wearing suits sit too close and get splattered with orange paint when some of the balls burst against the mesh. They hardly notice and continue watching. So that's a little bit talking about the different setup of the field, and that's a speedball style format with blown up air bunkers, which took place up at the WPL tournament in Montreal, Canada. Hawaleshka also goes on to talk about how paintball is around for 2 decades or more, but its popularity has exploded in recent years. Between 1998 and 2004, the player base in the U.S. grew by 63%, says Washington-based SGMA International, an industry association. There are now 9.6 Americans playing, 3/4 of them male and 2/3 under 25. In the meantime, annual tournaments in Huntington Beach, California, Orlando, Florida draw weekend crowds of 30,000 spectators. And in 2005, organizers established the Canadian X-Ball League, a popular 5-on-5 speedball format invented by Richmond Natalia, president of ProCaps. So my next article, Paintball Combat by Kevin Kitteridge, goes on to talk about a recreational field and just some of the rec play that is the average weekend play that you can generally expect to find at any average field. And he goes on to talk about how some paintball players play a version of Capture the Flag, which is the general format, in which the goal is to seize an objective before the other team can. The Coal Hauler paintballers, which is the field discussed in the article, paintballers have the flag, but usually nobody gets to it. Colbert said there's just too much paint flying around. In fact, the style of play at Coal Hauler might be described as total war. Paintballers shoot at one another until all the players on one side have been splattered. At that point, the other side wins. And battles at Coal Hauler average about 20-minute time limits. After that, everybody, win, lose, or draw, takes a chat and water break before the next game begins. So they go on to talk about how the games primarily blazed at Coal Hauler are Capture the Flag and standard elimination games, and it is just an average recreational field that you'll find in most areas. So that's generally what you can expect as far as the rec side of the sport is concerned. My third source, by Melissa Block, is Reliving D-Day, and it goes on to talk about the scenario game and big game side of the sport. So this article specifically goes on to talk about D-Day, Oklahoma, and she interviews some of the players who are down on the field. One of them, called Saksh, is one of the Allied commanders, and goes on to talk about how there's no real beach. We're in the middle of Pennsylvania after all. So instead, life-size boats are spaced out on the field facing a tree line where the Axis players are embedded. Allied players cram into them from the start of the game, and then the countdown begins. The article goes on and talks about how not a lot of people really go into dress, and it's not like an active reenactment. It's more just like there's a storyline behind the game. And she goes on to interview some of the general players and Allied commanders. And John Holm, another Allied player, goes on to talk about how a lot of people are going to come here and they're going to expect a reenactment. But I think there's a lot of components about this that really don't make this a war reenactment at all. And then he goes on to yell at some of his guys and head up the field to storm the beach, as it is storm the beach. But then Sachs goes on to say, still at first glance it looks pretty convincing. Plumes of orange smoke blow from smoke bombs, players call out to each other over walkie-talkies, and referees continued to load the Allied forces into U-boats and send them into battle. But the illusion fades once you notice the guy dressed up as Darth Vader shooting out paintballs from behind a tree, or the bagpiper haphazardly waltzing his way through the field. The majority of the players are in military fatigues, and many participants are actual veterans, some are active duty, but insist it's all character, it's all fun and games, and they're there just to have a good time. An Allied officer, James Arnetrout, who goes by the name Ninja, said that the overwhelming majority of players there are friendly and respectful. And as an example, General Angel showed him a vial of sand that she was wearing around her neck, and is from Omaha Beach. And General Valor said that this reminds us that what we're doing is pretty much nothing. We're having fun with this, but we're not going through what the men faced when they were truly on the beach and when they truly stormed the beaches, and we're grateful for what they've done. The article also goes on to talk about how there are some real-life soldiers watching from the sidelines. Two of them are Sergeant First Class Dustin Miller and Staff Sergeant Derek L. Lewis. They're from a nearby Army recruiting center, and both have served 2 tours in Iraq. Staff Sergeant Derek L. Lewis said that we look at it as respect and sport, and if you want to play it, by all means have at it. So they really go on to show how actual soldiers do support the game, and that it's okay to get into the reenactment, and you don't have to be worried about, you know, if you're going to hurt someone's feelings or anything like that. After all, it's just a game, and it's all for fun.
To find a field in your area, one good way to do this, and this is your first step into paintball, is you may go to empirepaintball.com, and there they have a field locator which lists just about every single field in the United States so far, and I think a bit into Canada. That's one good way to find a field in your area. You can also check out local listings and run a Google search and check pbnation.com, which also lists maps and directions to most of the fields across the United States. Once you've found your field that you select to play at, one of the first few things you need to do is prepare what you need to take for the day. Most players will wear a padded jersey, such as this, has padding in the forearms, different things like that, but is not required to play at all. Actually, you really don't need anything to play paintball, but I would suggest wearing a long sleeve clothing and covering up your skin, so that if you get any hits there, it won't sting as much. Bare skin will bruise if it is hit, although if it is covered, usually it will reduce the impact enough that you may not even feel it. Alright, you may choose if you want to have a bit of extra head protection, so I would suggest bringing either a beanie or a baseball cap to wear backwards to cover the back of your neck. You may also want to bring a scarf or gloves to protect your neck and protect your hands from any hits like that, depending on how much you're worried about the pain, which there is a slight bit of pain with getting hit. It's not very great. It only feels about as much if you, say, took a rubber band and snapped your arm. That's all you're really going to feel as long as you have your skin covered up and protected. You'll also want to bring a pair of jeans that you are not worried about getting dirty, and also a pair of good either hiking boots or cleats are extremely good. They have good traction and good ankle support. They'll prevent you from getting hurt out there and make sure that you can move a little bit quicker on some of the rough terrain. Also, you will want to bring maybe a rag or microfiber, such as this, to wipe off old hits, and definitely water if you do not feel like spending money down at the field, or if you don't know if they will have concessions, drinks, other things like that down there for you. Now that you know what you're going to wear and bring to the field, you're also going to want to call ahead and make sure that you bring cash if it's needed at the field, because some fields may not have an ATM or debit system set up. So you'll want to make sure to know whether or not you need to bring cash beforehand. You may also want to bring other players or reserve a party, which can reduce costs sometimes, as there are different party discounts, other things like that for private parties. Or if you don't feel comfortable on your first time playing with some of the other people that are just there and walk-ons during the day. When going for your first time, one good thing to plan is definitely how much you plan to shoot. On average, most people will shoot one bag of paint a day, which they come in bags of 500. Your field should sell them, by the bag or by the case, which is 4 bags. Each bag typically costs around $15, although it does vary on location or wherever you're at or what your field decides to charge. So you definitely want to plan ahead and see how much they're going to be charging for paint, how long you plan to be there, and how much you think you're going to shoot. For your first time, I would highly suggest just going ahead and planning on buying one bag and buy that at the start of the day, or if it comes through rental package, play with that. If you need paint later on in the day, make sure you have extra cash in case you want to spend more later on, or if you decide to stay later and play and you want to shoot more. You may also feel like splitting a case with your friends, as always buying in bulk always reduces price. Cases are usually about $60, and they consist of 2,000 rounds, as said before, with 4 bags of 500. So it is a very good decision to go ahead and split up your money with some of your friends. Go ahead and split up a case and go that way as you get more bang for your buck. Alright, so on your chosen day to play, you'll definitely want to call down to the field, check what the weather's going to be like, and maybe even ask how many people are down there. And then you'll want to make sure that you're up nice and early so you can get down to the field, and you will have plenty of time to get set up and enjoy your first time playing. So you'll definitely want to dress appropriate for the weather depending on what your field tells you. Now, once you arrive at the field, you pull into the parking lot. You'll probably want to park as close to the check-in station or what have you at your certain field. It all really depends on your location. So when you arrive, just go ahead, park. I would suggest getting out, taking a look around, and then you'll head over to your check-in station where you'll pay for your paint, get your rental package, and have a rules debriefing. Once you go to the check-in station, you'll sign in and you'll have to fill out a waiver. This waiver, typically all it says is that if the field is not liable if you tend to break the rules or other such things as that, but you'll definitely want to read through that and make sure you're clear on everything that it says and that you do agree with it. And you will, if you are under 18, have to have a parent sign it or be there with you to sign it. You can, with most fields, print the waiver off beforehand and have it signed and bring it in and turn it in then. So once you've gotten checked in, you signed your waiver, then you're going to get your rental package and pay for your paint. Typically, the rental packages will consist of one marker such as this, typically just a mechanical blowback, just a simple rental gun, a shake and shoot 200 round hopper, and depending on the field, you will have high pressure air tank or a CO2 tank. When you have the tanks filled, please don't try to do it yourself. Ask a ref, anyone there at the front counter to help you fill your tank for you. If you're not sure, please don't try to do it yourself. You just cause more problems to yourself and you'll take longer. So go ahead, ask them to show them how to do it. Depending on your field, they may show you how to do it yourself so you can do it later on in the day, but if you're definitely not sure, go ahead and ask for help. When you get your rental package, one thing you'll notice with the gun is that this stopper on the end. This is called a barrel plug. Now, most fields actually have banned barrel plugs because after 1 or 2 shots, this will get shot out and then you could shoot someone. So what is required at most fields is a barrel sock, as when you put this on, the elastic band, even if you shoot 20, 30 times, it will not come off and it will just spring back and forth as you shoot. This is a mandatory safety requirement. So if you do bring your own gear, you must have a barrel sock with you. If you do not, or if you lose it on the field, you'll want to take your barrel off and alert the nearest referee that you've lost your barrel sock and you need a replacement. There are many, many types of them, so you can check with your local fields, local stores, and make sure they can have one on hand for you, because that is absolutely necessary, and that is the second most important piece of equipment, which the first important piece of equipment is your mask. This is your life on the field. This protects your eyes. This is the only real way that a paintball can hurt you, is getting hit in the eyes or in the mouth, something such as that. So, all the masks at the field will be there. All fields will rent masks. And if they do not, you need to get up and leave. The typical mask at the field will be a hard face mask such as this. You will have one strap in the back, ear coverage, mouth coverage, and definitely face coverage. When you get there and when you get your rental package, you will want to try this on. Make sure you check the lens for any big gouges or scratches. If there's anything such as that that alarms you, please ask for a replacement. This is the one piece of equipment you will definitely want to be comfortable with when you're playing, because you will be wearing it at all times when you are on the field or in a shooting area. When you put it on, you want to make sure that the foam feels comfortable around the face, that it fits comfortably and tight to your face. To adjust the mask, there will be 2 tabs in the back. If you typically pull them apart, it will tighten the mask up to your face. If you push them together, it will loosen it up. So generally, all masks are one size fits all, although there are different styles of masks and different ones fit different faces. such as this I-4. As you can see, it's a slimmer mask down at the bottom. It's going to fit a little bit smaller head. So if you get there, you want to try on different masks if you can, and make sure you have a mask that you are comfortable with and that you're going to be okay wearing throughout the day. You'll also want to check to make sure that the mask does not fog. And if it is fogging or you're having trouble seeing through it, you can ask the field for a different goggle system, or you may ask for maybe an anti-fog solution if they have that available. Alright, depending on your field, the next piece of equipment that you'll get with your rental pack will be a set of pods and your pod pack. What this does is you wear this around your waist with these straps typically facing down, but if you have a double pod pack, it's a little loose, you may want to turn it so that the straps are facing up so that it doesn't slide out the bottom with these elastic loops. What this is used for is you wear this on your back and you will put extra paintballs into a pod, and during the game if you need to reload, you'll reach back, pull a pod out, flip open the lid on your hopper, open up the pod, dump the paint in. You can put your pod back in your pod pack, drop it on the field, get it after the game, and then you can keep playing. Depending on the field and on your rental package, there could be a basic rental setup, or there could be more advanced ones for more money. That all depends on how much you want to spend and what you're planning on doing for the day. Some rental packages may come with an electronic marker such as this, which is capable of firing faster rates of fire, and you're going to be able to put out a lot more paint. You know, so that's typically all up to you, or you know, how you're feeling, how much money you want to spend for that day. And they may offer better masks or different things like that, but that is all pretty much your choice of whether you want to go with that. Alright, so once you have purchased your paint and you have your rental package, then generally all fields will have you do a safety video or a safety speech from one of the referees right then. So you'll want to find a referee and make sure that you can get that done as quick as possible. You want to make sure that you pay a lot of attention during these videos. Now there will be general field specific rules, different things like that, such as my local field, Mad Cow Paintball in Louisville, Nebraska. There is red tape on the woods ball field, and the tape is there to alert players that there's a 30-foot drop-off straight down right there. Now most fields will have different rules and things like that, which you'll definitely want to know beforehand, and they will also cover a lot of the basic general rules that all fields must have, such as you will have to wear your mask at all times when you are on the playing field or not in a netted area where people have their barrel bags off. When you are not playing, you must have your barrel bag on, and if you have a mechanical safety, they will generally have you put that on as well. If you are in the netted area or staging area, you may not have the barrel bag off. Even if you take the barrel off, typically they do not want the marker gassed up. So even if you take off the gas, take off the hopper, you still must have a barrel bag on at all times. You must also on the field have your mask on at all times. Always have this with you. Do not lose this. If you're on the field and your mask comes off and you are in that situation, a referee will immediately yell to end the game, and they will more than likely dive on top of you. What they're going to do is they're going to dive and press your face into their chest to protect you from any paintballs until they have gotten everyone to stop and they can get your mask to you. Do not get angry, do not get offended with them. This is not because they're angry with you or anything such as that. It is simply to protect you and to protect your eyes. So, pay attention during the safety video, listen to everything they have to say, and if you are unclear about anything, ask questions. The referees are there to help you and to protect you. So make sure that if you are unclear at anything that's going on, to ask questions with them. They will have no problem answering them, and there will be no anger coming from any of the staff as long as you follow the rules and just attempt to listen to everything that they tell you on and off the field. Alright, once you finish the safety video, this is a good time to go ahead and ask the ref if there is a shooting range or what is also called a chronograph station. This is where you can go and you can fire the marker and you can, affiliate yourself with the marker and just get used to how it operates and make sure that you know how to use it. In a chronograph station, they will have this tool here. It's called a chronograph. What it does is you will take the marker, they will place the chronograph 2 inches from the end of the barrel, and they'll have you shoot. What it will do is it will measure the velocity of the paintball leaving the marker, and it will let them know how fast it's coming out. Paintball masks are rated to 300 feet per second. Your field may choose to lower that velocity down to say 285 feet per second, 260 depending on what they're doing, how small the fields are, different things like that. But no matter what, the field must chronograph their guns under 300 feet per second. If they're not doing this, it's definitely unsafe and you really should not be playing there. So once you go to the chronograph station, you'll make sure to have your mask on before you go in. Make sure the referee is there with you, and you can go ahead, take the barrel bag off once everything is safe and he lets you know that you can. You can go ahead, cock back the marker, and then you can try firing it. This is a very good time to get used to how you want to hold your marker in the game so that you're not thinking about it once you get out there. Typically, how most players hold their marker is they will take the tank, put it into their shoulder, and then lean the gun in so that the back of it is lined up with their nose on the mask. And then you want to use either 2 fingers or 1 finger, depending on how it is or what you're comfortable with. And you'll want to shoot just straight down, looking down the sides of the barrel, and you'll want to look at where your paint is landing. So if you shoot and the paint lands a little bit low, you just want to increase the height that you're pointing at a little bit and just kind of adjust your shots as you go. Typically, it's a lot easier to hit a target firing 5 to 10 times instead of waiting for that one perfect shot. So when you do have someone present a target for you, you're going to want to fire multiple times and definitely lead them if they're running. So once you have fired your marker and you have gotten comfortable with how it operates and everything, you go ahead, place your barrel bag back on, and then you leave the chronograph area and go to what's called the staging area. This is where you will begin to fill your pods and you can get ready to go play for the day. One good way to fill your pods once you've got the staging area is when you receive your bag of paint. It's typically difficult to fill the pods without losing some. And over years of playing, what I have learned to do, and a lot of other players to do, if you don't have what's called a caddy, such as this, where you can just open that and then dump it in, you can take your bag, place your pod in the bag, wrap the bag around it so that the only opening is your pod. Dump the bag upside down, shake it till the paint levels out, press any excess back into the bag, and now you've got your paint in the pod without dumping any on the ground and wasting any shots. Because this is your hard-earned money, you really don't want to be throwing it away on the ground, now do you? So once you've got your paint into the pod, you'll see it comes a little bit over the top, and what you can do is cup your hand over the top, shake it a little bit, and kind of get the paint to level out. If it's still sticking up a little bit over it, that's fine. You want it to be a little bit tight, and it'll press down, and you'll snap the pod shut, and then you can shake it. And if you can hear the paint shaking around, you want to put a couple more balls in there and make sure that you can't really hear it shaking a whole lot. If the paint's shaking around when you're running around with it on your back, the balls can, move around in the pod and they can break. And if you get paint onto all the other balls in there, it's essentially going to ruin them, because when you try to shoot, all that paint that's already exposed out of the ball is going to go into your gun, and then you're going to be shooting all over the place and you're not going to be able to hit anything. Now, once you've got your pods filled and you have your hopper filled and you're ready to go play for the day, you want to check your tank, make sure that it's topped off. If you have CO2, just take it to the fill station, ask a ref to check that for you. Or if you have a high pressure air tank, you can look at the gauge. Most fields have Celia like this. It's 3,000, so you just look at the pressure gauge. If it's up to 3, you should be good. Then what you want to do is find a group to play with. The best way to do this is to ask a referee at the field, or the field owner, or maybe even a person who looks like a regular player there who may be wearing a jersey, something like that, and just kind of talk to some of the other players there in the staging area. You can ask the referee and just go, hey, do you have a group down with you, or do you have anyone who would be willing to let me play with them so I could get used to playing? Explain to them that you're a new player, if you have any concerns about playing or anything like that, and maybe even ask for a few tips about how to play the different fields that are there. A little bit of advice from the ref can really help you out during that day. So once you talk to the ref, they can get you set up, get you with a group. You'll head on to the field. Depending on where you're at, once you leave the staging area, as soon as you go past any netting, there should be a sign, or the ref will tell you that you need to put your mask on. So you want to make sure you have your mask with you. You put your mask on, have your barrel bag on, all the way until you get down to the field. At this time, the teams will be split up, usually by the referee. Different ways of doing it depending on where you're at. They'll try to split them up evenly, and generally they will try to keep the regular, more advanced players separated from the rentals, or they'll try to mix them in so it's an even amount of skill level on each side. Once you've gotten down to the field and they have had teams split up, you may look at the ref, and if he takes his mask off, or if he says that it's safe for you to take your mask off, then you can go ahead and do so. It's perfectly fine. Just make sure you keep your barrel bag on, and everyone else has their barrel bag on. Once teams are split up, they'll typically be sent to either end of the field or what have you, wherever they're set up. The referee can let you know where to go or give you a landmark to go start from. Typically, it's a good time then, while you're walking down there, to talk to some of the other players and figure out where you're going to go once you start playing. Look around at the different bunkers as you're going down there and decide which area you would like to be at once the game starts. Because as soon as the game starts, you want to move as quick as possible, and you don't want to be thinking about where you're going to go. So once you get down there, start talking to different players to figure out where you're going to go. You will hear the ref shout that you can put your mask on and you can take your barrel bags off. So you'll want to put your mask on, wait till everyone else has their masks on, and then you can go ahead and take your barrel bag off. You may want to fire a couple shots right then to make sure that your marker's working before the game starts. And then the ref will check to see if both sides are ready. Typically they'll just say, one side ready, they'll point at you, and they'll wait for someone from your side to either give them the thumbs up or shout back, or whatever, to acknowledge that to the referee that you are all ready to have the game start. Once both teams have signaled that they are ready to go, the referee will count down from either 10 or 5, and he will say paintball in 5. And then he will go 5, 4, he will be quiet for the last 3 counts, and then he will say go, go, go. At that time, you obviously take off and you'll get to your bunker. When you're running to your bunker, you're going to want to be looking around, see if you can see any of the other players coming in. Even if you start to hear shots from the other side, you don't really want to stop right away. And if you have paint coming in, you want to look at it and see if you see the person. If they're a long ways off and they're just lobbing paint in, you're going to want to get a little bit closer so that way you can still hit them, and that it will break because it will still have enough velocity behind it. So once you get to your first bunker, you've looked around as you're coming in, then you'll just start to want to communicate with your teammates and check and see who they see around, and also where they're shooting at or where they're getting shot from. If you need help, that's when you want to ask your teammate. Be like, hey, the guy over there in the box is shooting at me. I need help. Someone get him pushed back in, and they'll help you out. Your teammates may ask you to push up or move up to somewhere else. You will have to trust them. They may ask you to run out into an area you really don't want to go, and you may ask them to go where they want to go. Paintball is a game of trust. You're going to have to trust them, and you're going to want to rely on the other players and trust them. And if you do get shot, hey, you only got hit once or twice, you'll be fine. It stinks for a second. You can head back to the dead box, and you can come back out the next game and learn from that. So once you get in there, you get playing, depending on the game type. If you eliminate all the other players, or if you capture the flag or what have you for your different game type, the ref will then announce that you all must put your barrel bags on and keep your mask on. So you put your barrel bag on, which a good way to keep it with you during the game is to either put it over the feed neck like this, over your hopper, and just leave it there if you don't have pockets. Or if you do have pockets, you can put it in there. And at the end of the game, put your barrel bag on and head back to the staging area, generally behind the paintball netting, or leave the field. At that time, then you can go ahead and take your mask off. Even after the game, if you see everyone else has their barrel bags on, or someone else is taking their mask off, keep your mask on until you're off the field. You never know who may be off to the side test firing a gun, or someone may not have heard that the game has ended and could still be in a bunker off to the side, and you could get shot at as you're leaving. If this does happen, make sure you keep your hand held in the air and you let them know that you are out or that the game is over. Once you get off the field, you can meet up with your team, discuss the game, and check how things went. Alright, so once the game is over, you'll head back to your staging area, you'll be talking to your teammates. Generally what may happen at this time is the referee may say switch sides, go again, or they may just split up the teams or whatever, or just change starting points and have a rematch to see if you really deserve that first win. So once you've done that, you'll go start the next game, and that's how it will kind of progress through the rest of the day. Do feel free though. Most fields will have multiple fields that you can play at. You know, you talk to your different friends, you know, if you want to try a different field or anything, don't be afraid to go to a different field. There are many different types. Most of the main ones are woods ball, which is generally just in the woods, hyper ball, which are big plastic tubing, air ball, which are blown up bunkers, just kind of like big balloons on the field, plastics, which is plastic castles that are stacked up around the field, or spindles, which are the big wire spools that are used for running electrical lines and different things like that that will be set up across the field. So when you get there, you know, take a look around, you'll see the fields, and you know, go ahead, try out the different fields, and don't be afraid to ask the referee if you can go try a different field with the group or anything like that. Because you know, it's your day to play, you want to have fun, so if you want to try a certain field, go ahead and go for it. One thing I will say that with the air ball, when you are playing, it's typically more of a fast-paced game, so you know, you'll want to be ready to run for that. There'll be smaller fields, you'll be able to see your opponents a lot more easily, they'll be a lot closer. And the bunkers will be a bit loud when you get behind them, and that does scare a lot of people sometimes. Don't be worried about it. It's a solid bunker. What happens is people get there, it's filled with air, and when the paintballs start hitting it, it makes a loud kind of a boom sound when the paintballs hit it. Don't be afraid. It's the same paint coming, you know, it's the same as when you're on the woods ball field or what have you. So don't be afraid to go ahead and lean out and shoot back. And that is the best way to keep someone from shooting you, is to shoot them first. So through the game, you may experience what's called a barrel chop or barrel break. So what happens is you'll be playing and you're shooting and you'll see your paint going, it's flying pretty straight, you're going, and then all of a sudden you'll shoot and you'll just see a mist spray out the end of your barrel. This could either be a barrel break or barrel chop. And what happens with a barrel chop is the ball's coming down and you have a bolt that goes like this and it'll hit the ball and shoot it down the barrel. But what happens is when the ball's dropping down, the bolt comes across, clips the bottom of it, breaks it in your gun, and then that is all throughout your barrel. So what you can do is they may give you this when you get your rental package at the start of the day. It's called a barrel swab or squeegee, other things like that. You can go ahead and ask the referee if he has a swab or squeegee with him, and they can go ahead and clean out your barrel for you, and that way you will be able to keep shooting and it will be a little bit straighter. Because once you get paint in the barrel, the ball will hit it, that part will slow down, it'll begin to spin, and your paint will be going all over the place. You won't be able to hit very much. So it's a good idea if that happens, go ahead, yell for a referee, and ask for help getting your barrel clean. And if you do experience it happening a lot, you'll want to go ahead and just slow down your rate of fire. Don't be shooting as much, and that'll give time for the balls to fall into the hopper. And if you have to, you may need to shake the hopper to get some to go in. If you notice it's just shooting air and you hear a loud pop. You may also want to check the top, open up your lid, look in there, make sure you have plenty of paint in there if you start to run out and you start hearing a loud pop. If you're playing throughout the day and you notice that your paint is going all over the place, it's not being very accurate, you may want to check the inside of your hopper to see if paint has broken the hopper. If you take, a hard dive or you bounce it on the ground, you may break paint in there, and then that paint will be on the outside of your balls, and you'll get the same effect if you had a barrel break or barrel chop. So if this does happen, you can go ahead and ask the referee. If he has a rag or anything, you can try to wipe it out. And you'll want to take the paintballs out and then pour them out, maybe later when you get a time at the staging area, onto a cloth, such as this. And then you just want to take it and just kind of roll them around on there and get the excess paint off the outside of the shells, and those will be good to use. So if you do get paint broken in your hopper, typically it's a good idea to ask a ref for help and go ahead and pour that paint out, get it cleaned off. Don't throw it away. It's still good paint. Just find the ball that is broken, discard it, go ahead, clean it off, and you can continue playing for the rest of the day. Alright, so throughout the day, you'll be playing with other people who are down there, maybe playing with people who are more experienced than you. Don't be intimidated. Everyone is usually very friendly. The referees keep it, nice and easy and relaxed. So go ahead, feel free to talk to them, but don't feel like you need to try to talk yourself up or try to fit in. Everyone was new at some point. Don't feel bad about it. Don't feel ashamed or try to hide or anything. And typically, if you try to make up a story or something like that or try to hype yourself up, they're going to know if you're making it up. So just go ahead, just be relaxed, talk to people, have a good time, and enjoy yourself. And if you are lucky enough to be talking, get friends with some guy, you may be able to ask them if you could try their higher end gun if they have their own gun. Different things like that throughout the day. So, feel free to go talk with the other guys. Usually everyone's really friendly. If you want to try playing a game with their gun, most people will easily just be like, hey, you can go ahead and try it out. So throughout the day, as you're meeting other players and different things like that, the experienced players will definitely, let them know and just say, hey, I'm new, could you try to take it easy on me or other things. Most fields have a bonus balling rule, or in other words, getting shot multiple times afterwards or anything. And generally, all of the more experienced players, they'll take it easy on you. And if they shoot you, they'll hit you once, or they'll start saying, hey, check your leg, check your arm, or your side, or what have you, because they don't want to shoot you up a whole bunch of times. They'll definitely, try to usually be very nice with you about it. And also, talk with some of the more experienced players. Try to see if you can get some tips from them. They can help you out, and it can really, help out your playing and let you have a lot more fun just from a few simple tips from the guys that know the field and know how to play the game. Alright, so at the end of the day, when you're done playing, go ahead, head back to the check-in station. You can give the referee there your rental equipment. If you have any excess paint left over or anything like that, you can go ahead, put it back in your bag, take that home, and you can save it for the next time you come out. Make sure you thank your referees, thank the field owners. They all work really hard to make sure that you all have a good time, and They're just out there to make sure that you're all safe, have a good time, let them know that you enjoyed yourself. And if you have any concerns or anything like that, go ahead, feel free to bring it up with referee or field owner so that they can make sure the next time you come out you have a very good time. Also, when you get home for that night, when you go to wash out your clothes, you want to wash it out that night. It is all water-soluble paint now. They've banned oil-based paints for the most part, so it does not stain how most people think. So you just want to make sure you go ahead and get that washed that night. When you're at the field, you may want to make sure that you bring a trash bag or a towel, different things like that, and a change of clothes. So that way you can take off your dirty clothes, throw it in a trash bag, keep it from getting all over the inside of your car, different things like that. And you can have a nice fresh pair of clothes to wear on home. When you get home, just go ahead and get it washed right away. It won't stain. If you do wait a couple weeks though, they may set in and you may have to use a stronger stain remover. But for the most part, the paint will not stain as long as you get it washed within 1 or 2 days. Other than that, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope that you can use it to your advantage to have a great time playing paintball and enjoy your first time out on the field. Thank you.